Imagine a giraffe. Now give it wings. Now tell it to hunt. That's not science fiction. That actually existed. And scientists still can't fully explain how. There is a creature that once ruled the skies of prehistoric Earth. Not a dragon. Not a myth. A real, breathing animal with a wingspan wider than a school bus. It wasn't a dinosaur. It wasn't a bird. It was something else entirely. And when scientists finally started putting the puzzle together, they realized almost everything they thought they knew about it was wrong. Stick around. Because the more we learn about this thing, the less sense it makes. And that's exactly what makes it so terrifying. It's 1971. A geology grad student named Douglas Lawson is digging through rocks in Big Bend National Park, Texas. He finds a bone. Not just any bone. A wing bone. And it's enormous. The holotype, basically the first confirmed fossil, consisted of parts of an arm, including the humerus and the wing finger, discovered in the Maastrichtian Age Javelina Formation. Scientists stare at the numbers. They run them again and again. The wingspan estimate comes back at 10 to 11 meters, that's 33 to 36 feet, and a mass of up to 250 kilograms. The largest flying animal currently known. For comparison, the largest flying bird alive today, the wandering albatross, maxes out at about 12 feet. This thing was 3 times that size. Its wingspan is comparable to a light aircraft. Its standing head height, it matched a modern giraffe. They named it Quetzalcoatlus northropi, named after the feathered serpent god of the Aztecs. Because honestly, what else do you call something like that? Here's where it gets weird. Scientists have long debated how or even whether this creature could fly, given its massive size and weight. Think about that. The largest flying animal in Earth's history. And we weren't even sure it could fly. Because here's the thing, physics has rules. There are real limits to how heavy a flying animal can be before the wings simply cannot generate enough lift. Quetzalcoatlus northropi weighed 250 kilograms, and that is essentially the maximum weight limit for a flying animal. It was sitting right at the edge of what should be physically impossible. And it gets stranger. This wasn't even a bird. It was a pterosaur, a terrestrial stalker that hunted on foot across late Cretaceous Texas and only took to the air for long-distance travel. So let me paint you a picture. This creature, as tall as a giraffe, heavier than a horse, was walking around on the ground, hunting prey. And then, when it felt like it just launched into the sky. But how? A running start? Nope, not with those legs. Because of its massive wings, it likely took off by leaping about 2.5 meters, roughly 8 feet, straight into the air. With enough of a jump, it could then flap its powerful wings to reach an altitude where it could soar like a condor. A quarter-ton animal, crouching, exploding upward, 8 feet in the air, from a standstill. That shouldn't work. And yet, it did. By the way, if your mind is already blown and we're only halfway through, smash that like button right now. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who love this kind of stuff. And if you want to see more deep dives like this every week, subscribe. We've got a lot more where this came from. Now, back to the monster. For decades, scientists had this animal all wrong. For a while, Quetzalcoatlus and its kin were cast as giant vultures that scavenged the carcasses of dinosaurs. A massive, ugly cleanup crew for the prehistoric world. But that image started to crack. Because the more fossils they found, the more a different, far more terrifying picture emerged. Quetzalcoatlus was almost certainly a ground predator, not an aerial fish catcher. Its long, toothless beak and inland fossil context both point toward a stalking strategy targeting small vertebrates. It walked. It hunted. It stalked its prey through open landscapes like some kind of prehistoric nightmare stork. An animal this size could consume victims as large as small dinosaurs, picking them up in its huge toothless jaws. And it shared its world with Tyrannosaurus rex. At over 5 meters tall while standing erect, it was actually the tallest carnivore on its continent, towering over contemporary Tyrannosaurus itself, though the dinosaur was far more massive. Let that sink in. The T-Rex, the most iconic predator in history, was shorter than this thing. But then, when the hunt was done, crouched, exploded upward, and disappeared into the sky. Estimates suggest it might have flown at speeds of up to 130 kilometers per hour, that's 80 miles per hour, and covered as much as 640 kilometers in a single day. 640 kilometers. In one day, without stopping. They could likely travel non-stop for 16,000 kilometers after launching, only rarely flapping to keep themselves in the air. This wasn't just the largest flying predator ever. It was one of the most efficient flying machines nature ever produced. And here's the part that really doesn't make sense. The drivers of giant size in these pterosaurs are not fully understood. We don't fully know why evolution pushed this creature to such an extreme size. Why did nature build something this large? What pressure, what environment, what arms race produced a flying predator this massive? Quetzalcoatlus lived during the final geological interval before the great mass extinction 66 million years ago. It was among the last of the pterosaurs, a lineage that had existed for over 160 million years. And no pterosaur lineage survived what came next. The asteroid hit, the skies went dark, and the greatest flying predator that ever lived vanished forever. The largest example of Quetzalcoatlus is represented by just a single set of fossilized bones, collected in the late 1970s from Big Bend National Park. One set of bones, from one animal, and from that, we've reconstructed one of the most extraordinary creatures in the 4-billion-year history of life on Earth. The fossil record is incomplete, and future discoveries may revise everything we think we know. Which means the story isn't over. There could be something out there, buried under rock and dirt right now, something bigger, something even more impossible, waiting to be found. We like to think we understand life on Earth. We think we know the rules. But then something like Quetzalcoatlus shows up, and it breaks every single one of them. A giraffe-sized predator, stalking the ground, hunting dinosaurs, then launching into the sky at 80 miles per hour. And we almost missed it entirely. If this video made you see the world a little differently, drop a comment below. Tell me, what prehistoric creature do you want us to cover next? I read every single one. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that button. Turn on notifications. Because every week, we go deeper into the stories that science class never taught you. I'll see you in the next one.